Hello, my name is Daniel Mullany, and behind the camera today we have Nico Greina. And today we are here to film a video source inspection for Sitek Process Solutions. Our customer for this project is located here in the United States, and their PO number ends in 58324. Today we are going to be videotaping 6 refurbished double-stack spin wrench dryers. This video is going to be a little bit longer because we have so many systems shipping to our end customer. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get the project started, or get the system started, and then discuss the project as the systems are running. So I come over to our first chamber here. Here we have our boat loaded with some wafers. We have our second chamber, again loaded with some 4-inch wafers. Chamber number 3. A couple wafers in here as well. And then finally we have our 4th chamber, just loaded up with 3-inch in this chamber. Okay. So as you may have noticed in the beginning of the video, we have 6 total double stacks here in the room for our video source inspection for today. The SRDs are all sharing a similar facility line here, so we're able to run 4 chambers at a time and maintain the required facility pressure in order to demonstrate the systems. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run 2 double stacks first, another set, and then finally finish off with the last ones, demonstrating that every single chamber runs and operates properly. So our end user is converting all of the spin wrench dryers in their fab up to our newest control system. The current systems that they have, you may have seen yourself, the old ST model spin wrench dryers. They have analog controllers with turn knobs on the front and push buttons to adjust the RPM and the time. Those are the oldest style systems, and although they are capable of drying your substrates, they're missing a lot of key features that you'd expect in newer equipment types. Something as simple as RPM feedback, so the controller actually knows how fast the system is spinning, is one of those basic upgrades that you see coming from the old analog style controller up to the newer digital style controller. Okay, we are currently in dry 1 on this system and still in rinse over here. We're going to be going through a dry 1 and a dry 2 before we're going to be able to inspect the chambers. And so in this case, our customers are not only converting their fab up to a newer style spin wrench dryer with our digital controllers, but we're also helping them extend their budget in multiple ways. First of all, we're providing refurbished systems. It may be difficult to tell when looking at these tools, but yes, they are actually refurbished. We're taking core units and performing an extensive refurbishment service, which I'll get into a little bit later, in order to provide a like-new system backed by our Sitek guaranteed 1-year warranty. Another way that we're helping our customers extend their budget is by reusing the rotors that they currently have in their spin wrench dryers. So in these demos right here, you'll see that we're using some of these older style rotors and cassettes that we have here at Sitek. And so these rotors and cassettes are really just being used for demonstration purposes for the video, because in the field, our end users actually have custom rotors that are running their non-standard product. And those rotors were actually also designed by us as we helped them build their fab out over the years. When they came to us with a requirement to dry non-standard pieces that do not fit in a normal Teflon cassette that you might find from Integrus or EPAC, then we're going to help you design a custom rotor for that in order to run your product. Now, in this customer's case, they actually designed the cassettes themselves, the cassettes that are actually holding the product in them, but that's also another service that we offer. Our goal is to have a turnkey service available for you, so if you have a non-standard substrate, whether it's an awkward triangle, or not triangle, that's pretty unlikely, however, we could still design one for that, but an awkward square or rectangle that doesn't fit into a normal cassette, or some other kind of quartz chunk that you're doing, or a lens, or anything else, we're able to help you design a custom cassette, a custom rotor, and then provide a spin rinse dryer that's going to allow you to rinse and dry any product that you possibly need in a semiconductor style system and a semiconductor style environment. Okay, so we've got about 3 minutes to go left on this first chamber here. Taking a look at the tools, and everything seems to be running properly from the front. I'm also inspecting the controllers for any alarms and functionality, and all the controllers are indicating that the tools are running properly. I'm now stepping to the back of the tool for a few reasons. One is I would like to identify our system serial number for our end user, and it is SRD-01625 and SRD-01626. And then also I'm taking a look down at the drains to ensure that we have no leaks or any other issues with the systems. Everything looks good. And I can also see that the water recirculation feature is able to be turned on, off, and adjusted here at the drain boxes. So everything is looking fantastic with these systems so far. Okay, and so all of these tools in the room, as I mentioned, have gone through our extensive refurbishment process. That is how we're able to provide you with a system that looks like new and runs like new, but saves at least 20% off the cost of new. And that starts with our process. All the metal parts are going to be chemically cleaned and electro-polished. All components that can be rebuilt will be, which include the motor, valves, and the upright positioner. All consumables will be replaced, so that's going to be anything that's going to be made out of a plastic or a gasket is all going to be replaced. And then we're also going to upgrade your system with our touchscreen control software. So now, when you bought a refurbished tool, you're not just buying a piece of equipment that's been wiped down and verified for functionality. You're actually buying a piece of equipment that's gone through a multi-point inspection over several weeks and is upgraded with a touchscreen controller that allows your system to perform like new. And not just like new, but because you're using the Sitek proprietary control system, you're able to run a spin rinse dryer that performs better than any other one out in the market. And there's a whole variety of reasons for that, which we'll dive into a little bit later. Okay, 30 seconds left on this first chamber before we'll be able to inspect the product. Just walking up to each system and glancing in through the front glass, I can see that all the chambers are drying out nearly entirely, and everything looks great. With no alarms and seeing the dry chambers, my expectation is that every single one of these is going to come out with dry substrates. Okay, so the first chamber has completed. We now have a blue light indicating that the process is complete, successful, and we're ready to remove the product. So when I open the product, I reach in, I can feel our N2 is purging in hot, so we know that the heaters are working properly, in addition to the sensors that have been following it the entire time. The cassette is warm, and all of our substrates are dry and ready for the next step in your manufacturing process. Moving on to our second chamber, I can feel it is also purging in hot. This one is a fully loaded boat, minus a couple slots, and we are also dry and ready for the next step in your process. Okay, coming over to the third and fourth chambers, I actually noticed we had a slightly longer recipe programmed in the top chamber, so it's got another 20 seconds to go. But the bottom chamber is ready. Same thing, you can feel the nitrogen purging in hot. Substrates are dry and ready for the next step in your process. And now we've got 5 seconds left in the top chamber. Okay, I can hear the door seal release. Couple wafers loaded in here, dry, and our cassette is nice and warm to the touch. So we've just had successful process runs on the first 4 chambers. We're going to go ahead and cut over to the next 2 double stacks. All right, now we're here to film the center 2 double stacks. So we're going to do the same process as before. We're going to go ahead and inspect the product and get the process started. On to the next chamber. Same thing, this time we have more wafers in this boat, but it doesn't necessarily matter so long as the rotors are balanced. On to the next chamber. In this chamber, again, only 4, and nope, those are loaded properly. Looked like it might have been cross-slotted for a second, which, as many of you know, is easy to get confused on when you're handling wafers all day long. And on to the bottom chamber. Again, now we have like a full boat loaded here, so we're doing all sorts of different testing on these systems. Okay, so I'll do a little bit different order on these systems. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the back and give you guys a serial number for them. Feels like I'm actually in the fab here. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can squeeze in on this one. Just barely. This system is SRD-01627. Okay, and now we'll slide into the next one. SRD-01630. Okay, and I must say, normally in our manufacturing area, we have more room between the SRDs, and trying to grab those serial numbers for everybody gave me flashbacks of being in the fab and trying to work on a piece of equipment, which can be such a pain in the butt. I'm sure that anybody watching this video that's actually been in a fab and worked on tools can understand that. It is quite difficult sometimes, but fortunately that we were able to get the job done in this circumstance. And so, for these 2 stacks, I want to talk a little bit about the spin rinse dryer process. So what I've learned over the years is that there are all kinds of recipes being used out there for the spin rinse dryer. Some of our end users have an extremely long rinse process with sensitivity to the resistivity set points. Some of our end users have short rinse processes. Some have no rinse processes. Some of our users have elongated purge steps, so they're purging into the chamber for a couple minutes even. Some people have higher RPM on the second dry and lower on the first dry. There's all kinds of recipes that I've seen out there, and I can understand why. Because oftentimes what you'll do is work to develop a process, you'll find good results, associate it with the recipe, and you'll continue to use it. And I think that makes perfect sense. However, what there has been proven is that there are general patterns with the recipe that we can expect to give the best results. And so when you purchase a system from us, you're going to have those recipes pre-programmed into the spin rinse dryer up front. The general idea is that we want to rinse for what makes sense to the end user at a low RPM. And I say that because some of our end users need a really long rinse because they've proven that it improves their product, the results of their product. A good example could be if you have a lot of trenches in your devices that need more extensive rinse time in order to make sure that any potential chemical or debris or anything from previous process steps is rinsed out, then that can be beneficial for you. We also have the ability to program 2 different rinse steps. So if you feel like or find that rinsing at a high RPM than a low RPM or a low RPM than a high RPM is giving you better results, then I absolutely encourage you to do that. Designing the rinse to make sure that your product is completely free of any possible contamination from previous process steps is critical to a successful spin rinse dryer recipe. From there though, we're going to go into the purge step. And we want 2 things out of the purge. 1, we want to keep it short, and 2, we want to match our dry 1 RPM. Why do we want to keep it short? And the main reason is because the purge step is actually blowing your nitrogen out of your DI manifold. And so its job is to just purge out excess DI water before the drying process to prevent any drips from dripping out and getting on the cassette and substrates. its job is not to dry the substrates. So we design 10 seconds in, so when we jump into purge, it's gonna spurt out all the DI water for 10 seconds, and then we're gonna move on to dry 1. Now, why do we have the RPM of purge match dry 1? And that's because our goal is to not jump around with RPM if we don't have to. So matching the RPM from purge and dry 1 allows us to just go to the dry 1 RPM that we're expecting to be at and then not bounce around again. And what RPM should that be? Typically, we're going to see this as a high RPM, something around 1800 or 2000. I believe on our controllers, we right now have 1800 programmed in. Yeah, because that's the standard that we use here is 1800. And so now our idea is going to be spin fast and sling the majority of water off. Because after these cassette substrates are totally doused with water, there's a ton of DI water in between the substrates, on the cassette, on all the touch points. So we want to spin really fast and whip off as much of that as we can, trying to splatter it off the rotor and cassette and substrates and onto the bowl wall so it can sheet down and drain out the back. From there, we're going to go into our dry 2. And our dry 2 is where the majority of the drying is really going to take place because we're spending the most time here. In our recipes, we have 300 seconds designed into dry 2. And so what we're going to do is we're going to slow down our RPM, something around 500 RPM, and we're going to let the rest of the heating elements and the heated nitrogen just complete this drying process. So now your nitrogen is heated up, your bowl walls have heated up, and we just have that hot air blowing across the substrates for at least 300 seconds in order to get a nice uniform dry. So what we found is that when you follow the general rules of this type of recipe, you're most likely to get the best results out of your spin rinse dryer process. And in the end, all the best results out of your substrates, improving yield, reducing breakage, and ensuring that your product is safe and ready for the next process steps. All right, so we have about 20 seconds left of dry time on the top chamber before we can start inspecting the product. Again, when I take a look at the different controllers, I don't see any alarms. I see the bowl heaters turning on and off as they're maintaining temperature. And when I lean in to inspect the process chambers, I see only small drops of water, which is expected for a normal process recipe. Okay, so here we go. The first chamber is now completed. Once the system senses it's upright, I can hear the door seal release. Again, blue indicating a successful process run. Warm nitrogen purging onto my hand, a warm cassette, and dry substrates. There we go. On to the next chamber. A warm cassette and dry substrates. Same here, warm cassette and dry substrates. And on to the last, a warm cassette and dry substrates. Okay, perfect. That will wrap up our center 2 double stacks, and now it's time to move on to the final pairing. Let's finish this strong. 2 more double stacks to go. First chamber, same as the last 8. Okay, go ahead and get that guy started. Next chamber. Again, more wafers in this one, but running the same general process. Okay. All right, in this chamber, it looks like we have a fully stocked boat. There we go. 24 out of the 25 slots in this one are filled. And we come down to our last chamber, and looks like we were going to have some fun with this one. And we mixed it up with a low profile cassette. Okay, so again, I'm going to start by sliding my way to the back, SRD-01629 is that SRD's number. I think I was able to slide this one just a little bit. There we go, so I can have better access over here. And this SRD's number is SRD-01628. There we go. More flashbacks of the fab. Okay, so far in the video demonstrations of our spin rinse dryers, we've talked about a lot of stuff. We've talked about the overall project that we perform here for converting our customer from old spin rinse dryers up to new technology, a fleet of refurbished 860F spin rinse dryers. I may have forgot to mention the exact model in the beginning, but these are all 860F models, which means they're F model double stack spin rinse dryers. That allows us to maintain the 4-bolt rotor configuration that I mentioned, so we can convert their existing custom rotors over to these systems and save a bunch of money on the total cost of the project by reusing some old rotors. We've also talked about our refurbishment process and how it allows us to provide like new equipment backed by our 1-year warranty. We've also talked about the recipes needed for a successful spin rinse dryer process run. But one of the things that we have not dove into yet is our parts, services, and our customer service. Possibly the most important part about what we do here at Sitek. So, starting with our parts, as you can imagine, if we're able to perform this kind of work, we have to have 100% of the parts available and needed to do that job. Whether you need a replacement motor, a replacement controller, you need a window, a door seal, a solenoid valve, a pneumatic valve, an upright positioner, any part of the spin rinse dryer that you need for your piece of equipment, we have. And our goal is to stock as many of the parts here as possible, so that way if you're in a down situation, we can get you up and running immediately. We also have all the services that you need: controller repairs, motor repairs, amp repairs. We can do it all. So if you need any service possible with your system, we're there to help you. We can perform it here at our building, or we even offer in-field services. So if you don't have the ability to pull your spin rinse dryer for production for any reason, we'll fly out, come on site, and service it there for you. Since we are the experts of spin rinse dryers, we're able to service a spin rinse dryer anywhere. And then our customer service. We're always here to take your call and make sure that you get the parts needed for your spin rinse dryers. We will ask you about what is the situation like with your tool? What is the model number like? Or what is the model of your tool? Can you please send me a photo of the component that you believe has failed? What troubleshooting have you done to identify that that component has failed? And if those details aren't adding up, we'll provide some more troubleshooting assistance for you so we can ensure that you get the right part the first time. I can't count the number of times I've been in situations where our end users are having difficulty with a piece of equipment where they can't find the part that they need. They don't have a reliable vendor for it. The part that they received isn't the right part. The part that they received didn't work upon installation. The price that they're paying is a 10 times markup for what you know it takes to build that part. We don't support any of that here at Sitek. We already know that running a wafer fab is a pain in the butt. And so we're here to make your wafer drying a breeze. That is our #1 goal. We want to make sure that supporting your spin rinse dryers is the easiest thing that you have to do, and it's something you don't have to worry about. There's a bunch more equipment that you are struggling with, and we don't want to be like that. And so our goal is to make every part of your support for the spin rinse dryer as easy as possible. Again, we want to make your wafer drying a breeze. Okay, so we got 2 minutes left here before we're going to start inspecting the product in our last few chambers here. And one part about our equipment that I mentioned earlier that I didn't dive into yet is our control system. So I'll give a quick conversation about that, because this is one of the most important parts about what we do here. Our control system is a field retrofittable upgrade to F and S model spin rinse dryers. It takes your old spin rinse dryer that can process product fine and gives it all the additional features that you expect out of a modern piece of equipment, such as monitoring whether or not the nitrogen heater is working properly, such as shutting off your N2 waste while you're in idle, saving a few $1,000s a year per chamber, such as giving you data logging, SexGem communication, monitoring the DI water flow to ensure that the water's actually turned on, having a maintenance mode that allows you to see or individually actuate any components that might have failed. And not only that, but then also having an alarm screen that's going to give you troubleshooting advice locally on the controller. If I want to see how to troubleshoot the RSP, I select the RSP, I have a cause for an RSP alarm, and I have common troubleshooting about how to troubleshoot this component. And that's just for the RSP. We also have it for the N2 heater, we have it for the N2 pressure loss, and all the different alarms on our system. So we're going to give you the ability to actually locally troubleshoot your system without having to go look for a manual or go ask for some help. You can assign anybody to these tools, and with our control system, they can be easily supported. It's one of the best new features about our controller, and it allows our SRD to stand out above the rest. Plus, we also know that this is equipment, and sometimes things are going to have problems. If our controller has any sort of failure, you're able to just individually slide a control unit out, send it to Sitek for service, and slide a replacement in. It allows you to get back up and running in less than an hour and maintain those throughput demands that your customers are putting pressure on you to maintain. If you want to learn more about this product, please give us a call, because we can field retrofit and upgrade our customers, and we already have hundreds of successful controllers in the field, as well as dozens and dozens of projects where we've done these field retrofits. It is a very easy process. Okay, so down to the last few chambers. Purging in warm and hot. Cassette is warm. Substrates are dry. Chamber number 10. I felt it purging in warm. Substrates are dry. Chamber 11. Hot nitrogen. And a completely dry cassette, fully loaded with wafers. And now we're moving on to lucky chamber number 12. Purging in hot. Our fun low-profile cassette in this circumstance, and product that's dry and ready for the next step in your manufacturing process. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to view our video source inspection for today. Again, my name is Daniel Mullany, and this video is filmed for Sitek Process Solutions. If you want to learn more about our products, we have a bunch of resources online. You can visit our website at www.sitekprocess.com, or you can visit our YouTube channel. Go onto YouTube and type in Sitek Process Solutions. There you'll find, I believe, over 450 videos that we've uploaded the past few years, demoing a whole variety of equipment, not just our spin rinse dryers, but also the box washers that we've refurbed, the mass cleaners, metrology equipment, photo pump rebuilds, and a whole bunch more. We also have educational and how-to videos on how to troubleshoot your spin rinse dryers or change out a bad door seal. So there's a lot of great content on our YouTube channel, and I'd love it if you check that out too. But the number one thing that we'd love if you did is just picked up the phone and gave us a call. We'd be happy to talk to you. Our phone number is 916-797-9000. And if you want to talk to me directly, dial extension 2201. Again, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day.